welcome to the Evolution of Mom podcast. We are your hosts, Amy and Sharice, and I hope you enjoyed our last episode on soul and what lights your soul up. This episode today is on inside outside and allowing the shift that we need to make in order to create lasting change.
Yes, your external environment being a direct reflection of your internal environment. And I think sometimes that can be a hard truth for us all to hear, but the beautiful message in that is that we have control over more than we think.
Yeah, I think last year it really hit me when I sat down. Towards the end of the year, I always like to do a little bit of a reflection. And I sat down and I just started to ask myself, like, why I wasn't any closer to my goals. Why I was coming up on another year. I was in the same place that I was, like financially, emotionally, spiritually, everything was the same. And so I started to ask myself why, and I started to look around, and it just kind of dawned on me that every single piece of my external environment was a direct reflection to what I believed I was worth on the inside. And so in order to make the change necessary to achieve my goals, I had to first change me. I had to figure out who I needed to become in order to make those goals.
Which is a beautiful realization, because sometimes it happens in the opposite way. So for me, I can easily relate this to my health journey, and I think this ties in the last 3 episodes that we've done on health and the different aspects of that, because this is the core piece that's going to help all of those. But for me, I knew I needed to make a change for my health. I knew that everything that had been going on for me and to me needed to shift. And realizing that an external environment does play a huge role on your health is important. It really does. When I realized that what I put in, on, and around my body was affecting my health just as much as what was going on the inside mattered, it still took an internal choice, an internal decision of, okay, enough is enough. I have control over this atmosphere, and what can I do to support that now?
Yeah, it was the biggest change too for me when I got diagnosed with postpartum depression, and I knew I didn't feel good physically, but it was also affecting, hair. It was cat hair. It was also affecting like my mental health, right? And so I wanted to make a change physically, but I didn't want to just make a change. Like, I didn't want to just achieve a goal. I was looking at it as achieving a lifestyle. I didn't want to be back and forth between diet programs. I didn't want to be in that roller coaster that so many women have of losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, because I didn't feel good about my body when I would go from a place of fit and skinny to a place of, more weight and a little bit chubby, right? And so I needed to figure out a way of loving my body in whatever state I was in first, right? And I worked at a gym for 4 years, and when I worked at the gym, I'd see it constantly where people were chasing their goals of abs or goals of fitness competitions or whatever their goals were specifically, because they were believing that when they got there, that was when they were going to find that happiness. But when I kind of started like observing the people around me and how they still, even if they've made great change, had a hard time like accepting a compliment because they still didn't believe they were worthy of it. They still didn't, they didn't make that shift in their mind. And so a lot of those people I saw gain that weight back shortly after their competition. And I was like, I didn't want to get there. And so I had to shift my mindset. I started looking at like little ways that I could celebrate the wins in that moment and start to really love and appreciate my body for what it had done. And when I look back now, that was in between my first and my second kid. But after my second son, I was able to look back, and even though I was heavier again, I looked back and I said, look at what my body has done. Mm-hmm. It's lifted 300-pound deadlift. It has birthed 2 kids pretty naturally. It has fought. Like my body has shown up in so many amazing ways. that the best way that I can show it love is by feeding it healthy, by giving it enough sleep, by giving it enough water, by giving it enough exercise, right? So my body continually shows up for me, and I needed to make that change and that shift mentally for me to love myself that way as well.
Yeah, that internal dialogue is everything, and the internal shift is always going to be the biggest shift you have over anything you're doing in your external life. When we're constantly seeking external validation and external things to be happy, I'll be happy once I lose the weight, I'll be happy once I make more money, I'll be happy when I have more time. Whatever it is that you're telling yourself that's going to create happiness for you, there's a good chance that when you get there, if you have not worked on the mindset, you won't stay there. Even if you've lost the weight, even if you've made more money. I mean, look at when people win the lottery, for example. They all of a sudden have all this money, but if their mindset hasn't shifted around money, if they have not grown to a space of understanding that kind of money, they lose it. You come back down, which is like what diet culture is like. You do these things for a short period of time to gain this external validation, external happiness, and then you swing back because your thermostat setting, which is what I think is a beautiful analogy for this.
I was just thinking that.
Right? Is still at the same weight or still at the same amount of money that you know how to handle. And I love the thermostat setting. So when you look at your thermostat setting is basically your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right? Your comfort zone on where you either think you should be or worthy of being. And there's a lot of things you can do to raise that thermostat setting. One is personal development around what you're doing. Two is hanging out with people who are a little bit higher in that thermostat setting than you are in the areas of growth that you want. Let's use money, let's use money. So you're here, you're making a certain amount of money, and you are looking to grow those skills. Put yourself in a room, so you're at a 5, put yourself in a room with 6s, 7s, 8s, and get comfortable raising to their level, then gaining more comfort by going down levels. Sometimes we go down in our thermostat setting, and usually it's because we've raised ourselves too high, too quickly, and so we crash.
Yeah.
And then we kind of come back down to a 3, and it takes us a little bit to get back up to our 5, which makes us think we're winning and likes to keep us at our level 5 without taking those steps of growth. So that internal dialogue, the internal thoughts and growth around wherever it is that you want to go, health, wealth, love, relationships, anything like that, is where you're going to see those wins.
Yeah. It takes a mindset shift first. And I mean, this is why we actually collaborated with the Mindset Moms, because they're really big about that as well. And I know we talk about it often, is changing that like mindset and starting to reframe it, right? Affirmations are huge for that. Telling yourself, getting yourself to believe a story, because our brain doesn't actually know what's real or not real. It just kind of like, I mean, it's the same thing if you watch a movie. You feel scared or excited or sad with whatever you're watching because it doesn't know that that's not reality. And so whatever you tell your brain is what it's going to believe is reality. So giving ourselves positive affirmations in the direction of what you want to go and what goals you want to achieve helps then bring it into your reality, right? But it also takes action. So I love The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and they talk about thoughts that lead to feelings, and feelings lead to actions, and actions end up leading to results. So the very first thing is we have to change our thoughts, because that's what leads to the feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone who has gone through a giant shift in their life of lasting change will tell you they had to change mentally on the inside first.
Yeah, especially if it's a drastic change, right? Like, because it's like that thermostat, right? If the thermostat's set to 21 degrees, our house is going to go and get to like 18 degrees, but then it's always going to come back up to 21. And then it might get too hot, but it will come back to 21. And so in order for us to shift that, we have to shift our thermostat. We have to tell ourselves a different story.
If affirmations aren't something that you're comfortable with yet, or if you're, looking at yourself in the mirror saying, I'm a millionaire, I'm going to weigh 20 pounds less, I'm going to do this, and your inner dialogue is still laughing at you in the background, being like, no, you're not. There's ways around that. One, it's just practice. It's practice quieting that mind and focusing more on what you're telling yourself, but there's also ways to shift the wording. For me, it was really valuable. Instead of saying, I am this, and my inner voice would be like, no, you're not yet. I would say, I am becoming this.
Mm-hmm.
I am becoming healthier. I am becoming wealthier. I am becoming the healthiest version of myself. Because then your brain is like, oh, I can take action towards that.
Mm-hmm. It gives you permission to be a little messy.
It does.
Which is the nice thing, because one of the main steps to taking action is being able to do messy action.
I'm all about failing forward.
And so if you give yourself permission to become, that means you can fail.
Mm-hmm.
That means you can step back. Like, I think the one thing though is we get caught up in our emotions by giving ourselves too much grace instead of taking action.
Yes, you have to be very careful of that.
And you're like, I know I should be doing this, but I'm not doing it today because it's the hard thing and it's what I don't want to do. But it's taking that disciplined action to get you there. And that you're like, okay, what would my highest self do? I love asking myself that question. If I'm in a moment where I'm like, oh, I'm just like, I need to not get up off the couch right now, I have to ask myself, what would my highest self do? Am I giving myself a little bit too much grace? Am I letting myself off the hook when I know I should be going to the gym?
I like asking myself, what's the best use of my time right now? And sometimes that is rest. Sometimes deep down in my core, I'm like, you know what? You've been doing so much. That is the best use of your time all day, all week, that you know what? It's time to just sit and be present with your children. It's time to just sit and relax. And maybe when you put the kids to bed, watch a show that's just for you. Pick a snack that's just for you, that you don't have to share. Do you know what I mean? There are those moments, but I think when we say, I am becoming this, it gives our brain the understanding that there's work to be done.
Yeah.
There are things that I need to do to become what my goals are. So affirmations in that way are a beautiful way to start shifting your mind. And it also gets you comfortable talking to that little negative voice in the back. When it says, oh, no, you're not, you can be like, actually, I am.
Yeah.
Shh, I am. I totally am. Look what I did yesterday to take a step towards my goal. Look at what I'm going to do today. And then celebrating those little wins as you go. It's okay to celebrate every step of the way that it takes you to get to that goal. Be happy every step of the way, not just when you get there. Because if you're happy every step of the way, you'll be happy at the end. Whereas if you don't, you might not be.
I mean, and words are powerful. Like, be careful when writing out affirmations because words can slip in. So like, I will try.
Ooh,
try is a word that doesn't belong in my vocabulary.
Try is a lie.
But even when I tell myself something like, I can't afford it, I like to throw, I can't afford it yet in there, because that still tells my brain that, hey, I'm working towards that. Not that that's finalized, right? And that's the way it is. It's going to be like, hey, we're working towards that. So be very, very selective of your words. And when you write it out, read it back, because a lot of times that negativity can like sneak in there and you don't even know where it can sneak in.
Yeah, and the I can't afford it, even if it's on something that you think would be an indulgence and you shouldn't buy, instead of saying, well, I shouldn't buy this because I can't afford it right now, it's an indulgence, say, I am choosing to spend my money elsewhere right now. Instead of saying, yeah, I can't afford it, right? Playing with words is so powerful. One that you like to talk about is, how is this the best thing that ever happened to me? One that I like to talk about is,
what's the best that can happen?
Yes, instead of what's the worst that can happen. Thank you. I was like, wait a second. Instead of what's the worst that can happen when you step into something, what's the best that can happen if I do this?
Yeah, it just gives us permission. Like it's that permission to be messy is so important. I don't think we can say that enough.
I know.
Is like, because that's what holds us back a lot of times from starting, even is that fear that we're going to mess up, or that it's not going to work out, or what are all those people going to say about you, or whatever it is. Give yourself permission to be messy. I mean, look at us with this podcast.
I know.
I mean, we're on 2 different computers right now because we're waiting for a sounding board to come. We've had multiple different microphones. Like
last night we did one with one microphone.
We shared a microphone.
We're all about imperfect action over no action here at the Mom Evolution.
Yeah.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, it is. It's just take that step in that direction, right? You want to go to the gym. You want to start eating healthier. Just do it. Like, just go. And what I like to do too is every time I hear that little like devil crop up that says, hey, like maybe we can just sit here and relax right now and not do anything. And I'm like, now I gotta go to the gym.
Now I have to do
because the more we let that devil win, the more that the devil wins, right? So, and it gets easier to talk you into things. And that's, I knew I was giving myself so much grace, and I was like almost too much, and it was not leading to a whole lot of action. So I had to start taking action. And the more that I did, that leads to like more belief, more self-confidence, keeping promises to myself, right?
That's a big one. Same when you're facing fears. I mean, action outweighs and beats fear every time. So if you have a thought pop up, I'm going to use dancing in the street as an example. If you're walking down the street and you have your headphones in and you want to like start to do a little shimmy, but then you talk yourself out of it because like that would be scary. What if people look at me? I encourage you to do it.
Do it.
You won't believe the shifts you can have in your life over your mindset when you start facing those little fears on a daily basis. I talk myself out of doing Instagram videos all the time. Then I'm like, oh, now I have to do it. I was going to talk about this. Well, people probably don't want to hear that. I'm going to, now I have to do it. And it builds your confidence every time because one, it doesn't take as long as you think it's going to. Typically when it's a task, it's not as scary.
Nope.
And you know what? You don't die.
Yeah. Most of the time it doesn't go as bad as you think it's going to be either.
Really not.
Yeah. But I think too, like there are times though that obviously the devil's going to win.
Absolutely.
I mean, I didn't do my video yesterday, but the important part is that I get on there and I do it today.
Mm-hmm. That's
right?
the sign of growth.
It's that how quickly can I jump back on the wagon if I fall or not?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because it's making those promises to ourselves that really like solidifies it, and keeping those promises to ourselves. Because so often we tell ourselves little lies all the time. And this is something that I've realized is like, how often does somebody say, hey, how are you? And you say, good, but you're really actually not.
Super not.
Yeah, like you lie to ourselves, and we do it where we'll sit there and we'll be like, well, I'll start tomorrow. And then tomorrow rolls around and we're like, well, we don't have shoes today,
mm-hmm.
right? So we can't go to the gym today,
mm-hmm.
right? And then the next day rolls around and goes, like I'm just really sore today. Like I'm just achy, or I'm tired, I didn't sleep great. Like we'll give ourselves all these excuses to say exactly where we are, to not lean into something, because going to the gym for people can be really scary.
Yeah.
Right? And especially that first go to the gym,
mm-hmm.
but there's other people there that like, it's just a start. And I've had to restart many times on my journeys and a lot of my goals, fitness especially, after my second kid, I've had to restart so many times. And every time I'm like, well, at least I restarted.
And every time you get better and you learn more about what suits you as an individual.
Yeah.
Right? There are so many examples of ways you can win in that way. Keeping promises to yourself. One, start noticing the ones you break every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible when you start paying attention to that, how much you do. Even when you just say, I'm going to go get myself a glass of water. The next time I'm in the kitchen, I'm going to down a glass of water. And then you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm going to take my supplements the next time I'm in the kitchen. And then you don't. Tonight, I am going to wash the makeup off my face before I go to bed. And then you don't. You wake up with mascara smudged all over your face, right? It's those little ones. And when you start winning those little ones, it trains your brain to want to win more.
Yeah.
So start washing your face every night for a little one. Start taking your supplements first thing in the morning. Whatever it is that you keep telling yourself you should be doing every day, start doing them. And just see the shift that these little ripples have into big waves into your life.
Yeah. I would start really just paying attention to what it is in your external environment that you don't like right now.
Yeah.
If there's something in your external environment that you don't like, because so many people blame it on whatever's happening, right? It is the way of the world that's going on right now, so we can't do this. Okay, but that's not within our control. What is in control is us. What can we do with ourselves? So start paying attention. If there's something in your external environment that you don't like or don't agree with, figure out what part of it you can control.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control other people. You can't control the way of the world. You can't control all of this. But there is something here that you can control.
And when you start becoming aware of that, I think you'll be surprised at how much is within your control. People blame so much on external circumstances. Well, if I had more time, if this person didn't treat me this way, which, I mean, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. But in reality, the relationships you have in your life are a direct reflection of how you feel about yourself, are a direct reflection of what you think you're worth being treated as. We absolutely have control over how people treat us. We allow people to treat us however they do. We create those boundaries. And sometimes, again, that's a hard thing to hear, but it's also a very empowering thing. And if you're looking to shift relationships in your life, take those baby steps of standing in your truth or walking away from the ones that don't serve you. Because as much as our internal reflects our external, which it does, and that's the only place we can see changes from internal, but our external environment, we need to understand the weight that it has on our health. It matters. It plays a huge role on your physical health, your mental health, on your soul. If it is like crushing your soul to be around certain people or to see certain things in your life, it's absolutely time to make that shift within yourself so that your external environment is a direct reflection and a support of your health.
Well, I think ultimately that's what living in alignment actually is.
100%.
Living in alignment is actually taking your internal, your highest self, where you're going to belong, where you want to go, and then matching your internal with that highest self, which then in turn gets us to take action to match our external with ourselves. And so then we're in alignment.
And just be empowered knowing that you are not a victim of your circumstances if you don't choose to be.
Yeah.
People told me for years, Amy, you have to just relax. This is your life. This is your circumstances. This illness, your endometriosis, your pain, this is a part of who you are, and you need to work your life around that. That's terrible. That's terrible, and it hurts my heart.
It takes your power away.
It does. It takes your power away. It makes you feel like you're not in control. And I've been told by specialists, smart people, that my health is not within my control and I am a victim and this is what my life is. And it took an internal moment, that internal enlightening shift, to switch that external environment and be like, you know what, I don't need to take on what these people are telling me. I know my body best. I can be in control of my external circumstances. And that's when my health shifted, when I took that internal stance against my external situations.
Yep. All right. So the takeaway, I guess, would just be to look at what part in your external environment you're not happy with, and how to make that shift internally. What is the part that you can control?
Yeah, and start keeping promises to yourself. Start taking evaluation of your internal environment and see where you can make those shifts. Small consistency over time is how you're going to win doing that, right? Those affirmations, maybe you want to write some affirmations for yourself that are a reflection of the change you want to make externally. That's a really good place to start as well.
Well, that's all we got for today. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you found value in this episode, please share. Head over to the Evolution of Mom podcast and share with a friend. And as always, don't forget to put yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
That's right. Self-care isn't selfish. It is selfless. We are so excited to dive more into mindset over the next couple weeks with the Mummy Mindset.
Mindset Moms.
Mindset Moms?
Mindset Moms.
Either way, they're amazing.
Yeah.
I love them. We've collaborated with them for a couple episodes, just bringing in another perspective of how important mindset is from a couple of incredible women. Please come join us on our Instagram community, the Evolution of Mom podcast. We love interacting with you there, connecting with you. We go live every Thursday night in a more casual way, bevies and BS. We unpack the week, we throw our hair up, put our sweatpants on, and just talk. It's great. We also have a Facebook community that we would love to see you in, where we do intimate Zooms once a month to connect, share a space of safety, of understanding, of connecting with like-minded women, where we can share our struggles and grow and help each other grow there. We also have something very exciting coming up for the month of May. May is for moms, we've decided.
May is for moms.
Who just needs one day when you can have a whole month? We are working on something for an intimate group of women who want to grow and shift their life, learn to become more proactive instead of reactive to their day. And so we're going to launch something like that in May. We're thinking for about 10 women. So if that is something that interests you, please reach out. We would love to share those details with you. As always, thank you to the Next Level University crew. We love you. We could not be here without you, Kevin and Ellen. Your advice and your guidance has been invaluable. Invaluable? Super valuable? Super valuable. Whatever the word is, it's great. Thank you so much. We love you guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.